Welcome to the show, West Coast Women Rising audience and listeners. We can't wait to get this show started. I'm JJ Flazanes, your co-host, and I have my other co-host with me here today, Tani Noriega. Welcome, Tani.
Hello, hello. I'm excited because today we got Danielle here. Danielle, you've been a part of Ventura County businesswomen community. I was telling JJ from like the start of it. So,
2018.
2018, yeah, or 2020, 2018. So I'm really excited today because even though we have our friendship and I've seen you in so many different ways, I'm excited to get to know you in a different way. All the little details of the things in between. So I'm ready. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
show, Danielle.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited to share a little bit more about me and, connect with you guys a little bit more. So let's do it.
Let's start with your business story, your story, how you got into business, what led you to it.
That the answer is always my kids. I actually started in the Ventura County Businesswoman Group initially for my husband's business because he had a service-based business he started in 2018. And so that's how I knew about the group and I started posting about his business. I was a special education teacher at the time, and I was a mom of, let me see, how many kids did I have at that time? Three. I had three kids, just had my third baby. And I I was already in the clean skincare space since 2016. That's when I had my second son, and he had extremely bad eczema when he was little. And I struggled to find something to help his skin. And what I did was I really researched and tried to find, I went to the store to find different products, could not find anything to help him. Um, at the time, I didn't realize, he has been diagnosed with autism, later on in life. So he was very, had an aversion to skincare products, food, scheduling, the environment. So there was a lot that he was overwhelmed with in his life. And what I did was I really took the time to invest in researching what can help his skin and initially, created a product, designed for my son. And it worked for him. And during 2020, I left my job as a teacher and kind of struggled with, where's my journey? Where am I going to go from here? Just like I think everybody was during that time. And I went back to my passion. I just went on my social media, started sharing my process of how I make my products for my son. Just the general, idea of it. And because I kind of nerd out on it and I love, the whole process from beginning to end. Just because I did see a whole lot of that narrative, on social media. And from that, just that initial post, it kind of blew up from there. So that month that I started posting, my whole business, you know, just created. And now we're about 5 years later, and this is our best-selling product that we make. And I can say, it all stemmed from my children. Just being able, I wanted to be able to give something to help them. And in turn, it showed me that I was able to help, countless other people with the same problem that they were experiencing.
I love that. I want to get into a little bit here because I know a little bit of this, but maybe
Hmm.
listeners, JJ. Okay, so you go from you cannot find anything specifically for him in the market. Um,
Hmm.
how did you then go to I'm just gonna create a product and it works for him? How did we get there? What was the in between?
So my backstory is, and a lot of people don't realize this, is I am part Filipino. So my grandmother emigrated here from the Philippines. She taught me all of, you know, kind of my initial herbalism ways that, as a mom, I kind of forgot about, because once I became a mom, I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy whatever is on the store shelves because it's gonna help. It's tried and it's true, and I will trust whatever is presented to me. I did not realize that that was all false until I had my own kids, and I really struggled. And I'm like, okay, I can't be the only person that is struggling. So my grandmother, when I was little, she grew these calendula flowers like all over her yard. And at the time, it was just pretty, and I didn't really, I guess, pay attention to what she was trying to show me. And she, like, like when I was growing up, we never drank cough syrup. We always drank honey and lemon. Like that was just a thing. And she really tried to like turn the soil on like whatever I needed in my life, I could grow in my own garden. And she passed away 2011. So that was a few years before I had kids. And once I got down that rabbit hole of, okay, um, waterless or water based skincare uh, is not going to help my son because it's causing some kind of reaction. Um, I know it has to be something like either what he's eating, and you go down this rabbit hole of like, oh my gosh, um, there's so many options on why this is occurring, and you get overwhelmed, and you're just like, well, I don't know. I guess I just have to live like this. And that's what I hear a lot from a lot of my customers is like, I am at a loss, and I don't know where to go from here. So once I started researching um, every single response that I saw was calendula. And it was like light bulb. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, how did I forget everything that my grandmother, taught me? And it was like she was almost like sending me a sign where she was just like, this is your answer. This is what I, was trying to teach you for years. And it was like, from the grave, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is it. So I definitely, again, I researched it. I learned how to like grow the flowers. I really dived into the whole science behind what calendula is. And what I found was there's a huge amount of the population over here, like in the United States, that they don't have a realization what calendula is. Like there's some people that kind of know what it is. They might see it like as an ingredient in a product, but they don't understand like the impact that it can do for your skin. And then you have people, I get so many customers from Europe that are just like, oh my gosh, this is everywhere out in Europe. Like, I don't understand why it's not here. And I'm just like, I know, it's like one of those things I'm just, trying to break through. And my mission was to just kind of make the whole bread and butter calendula. Like this is the only thing that you would need for your skin because it works so well. And bring that awareness to mothers primarily because that was always my biggest you know uh, I guess audience. So I made it, this is for moms by moms because it works for me. And I always like tell people like everybody's experience, everybody's expectations might be different. And that's 100% okay. And I just tell people like this is what has helped my son.
Mm.
I welcome you to try it, see if it helps you. I pray that it does because it'll give you the answers that you're searching for. Um, and I guess just that journey of me, you know, going through the steps of, also kind of like self-healing myself too, because I'm still mourning the loss of my grandmother, but this is a way of me to keep her, constantly in my life and me educating my kids, like teaching them about their grandmother because they never got to meet her. So it's almost like they know who she is because she's everywhere, like in this business. Um, and that's what I, find the most beauty out of that. So I was able to, I'm thankful that I was able to kind of, pinpoint that journey for me. And I'm trying to create like a roadmap for other parents, that are on the same, you know, the same road and they're trying to find healing for their kids.
I think most of us, in some way, shape, or form, who are in business got here because there was a need for what we do or what we have or what we created. And I think the closer to home it is, the more impact it has because you're not attached to it being a business yet. You're just wanting to
Yeah.
solve a problem. You're
Yeah.
creating a product to solve a problem. And when it works, then you're like, cool, I'll share it with other people. And I
Yeah.
mean, I know that firsthand, not from making a product necessarily, although I do have wine that I make, but but that's a separate product. But for you, let's talk about the business aspect of this because there are a
Hmm.
lot of people who have ideas about making. I used to do masterminds, and one of my I have a client of mine who she has her grandmother was teaching her all the sort of sorcery of plants and herbalism,
Yeah.
and she made all these wonderful products and she made them in her kitchen, which is where I'm sure you probably started also, right?
Yep.
But let's talk about that for those who are listening because you have some experience that was very valuable to a lot of business owners that might want to bring a product to market. So where did you start after you made this and then you started sharing about it and people started wanting to buy it? I'm guessing you made it in your kitchen. Did you continue to make it in your kitchen? Are you still making it in your kitchen?
So it's funny because this is actually the first year. So where we're at, we're in my garage. This is my manufacturing area. I've actually moved out of my kitchen and I, transformed my whole um, garage into my workspace. 2024 was a big year of me kind of stepping into up leveling my business and really investing into my business. And it came at a time that I wasn't aware what was to come in the next, couple months. But it's amazing, like just how aligned everything was. Um, and it all, initially, again, it started in my kitchen. And I am the first one to say I do not have a business background, entrepreneurial background. My husband and I joke all the time that I remember when I was picking my son up from daycare when he was 18 months old and I was pregnant with my second son. I was, miserable being where I was at because I was missing my kids like growing up because I would rush them to preschool and daycare and then I would go to work and then I would go home and I would have to, talk to parents still at home and I was taking that really important time from my kids. And I remember sitting in the car with my husband, it just in the parking lot because I was at a loss. I'm just like, well, I guess this is just my life. I don't know where to go from here because I already hit my goal of getting my master's, being a special education teacher, being a mom, what comes next? And he, and I will always say that my husband is my biggest cheerleader when it comes to that because he was the one who pushed me to reach for more than what I thought I could handle or what I, thought I can achieve. Because he would say, you just need to create a business, just anything. You think of something, try it, and, see what comes of it. You just got to try. That's the first step. And I'm just like, ah, ha, ha, like, easier said than done. Like that's something you can do. I'm a teacher. That's my trade. That's all am ever going to be, and that and a mom. And we moved from where we were at. We moved to back to Ventura, and uh, just having my third son and moving here really ignited that fire that I was like, okay, I'm desiring for more in this life than what, than just being a teacher. Like I feel like I have a calling to do something more important, not just for me, but for my kids as well. And so once I started posting about my products, and it wasn't even a product at that time, it was just, it was an idea, and it was something that helped me. And I wasn't setting out to sell it. I was just sharing my knowledge with people. And people were just saying, I want to buy that. Like, where can I find that? And then it just kind of turned into a business where literally it was Mother's Day 2020. I was out delivering orders to people. Just people were saying, I need this like right now. So I got in my car and started delivering orders. And then I started like really researching, okay, how can I, like, what is business? Like, what does this mean? And again, my husband, he has the entrepreneurial spirit. Like he's created a business, he's built it up, and he has the idea. So he's always like the business side when it comes to like that structure. I've always been the face behind the business. I educate like what the products do for you. And we really coexist amazingly in that aspect. Um, and I really put myself out of my comfort zone. I started cold messaging different businesses. I started going to different businesses and just giving them product and saying, I have a product I would love for you to try. Just try it out, see if you like it. And yeah, I just want to gift this to you. And just from that, I gained 3 wholesale accounts in the first 2 months. So I had one in Ojai, one in Santa Paula, one in Ventura, um, and just made like a huge presence just in those little communities and just saying, and just being very open and like being the face of the business and, I guess relating to my customers, saying, and sharing my story. That has always been the biggest, turning point with my business is taking the time to share about who I am, where I come from, and what I created, because there's a huge amount of story behind that product. Uh, and just with every month that came by, the business grew, exponentially. And now we're, gosh, 5.5 years in, and we launched. So 6 months ago, we launched in a big box store in Air One in Los Angeles. And so just thinking about, from kitchen or, garden, kitchen, a few wholesale accounts, and we've done markets and we've done, we have a huge presence like with our online store. Um, and now, trying to take on, you know, I'm on the shelf with like Osea and Salt and Stone. It's like it's mind-boggling. Um,
Congratulations. Well, let's just
thank
stop there
you.
for a second and let's
Yeah,
celebrate. Congratulations.
thank you.
I love the sort of the unfolding of this because, again, I believe that the most successful products and programs come from a place where we're sort of inspired to do it from a greater calling, not just money. And yes, money, we all want money. We all love money. Money's great. Money's energy.
Hmm.
But it's when we're not in alignment with the message or the healing or the, whatever it is that we're doing in the world, it's hard to sell something that you're not connected to.
Yeah,
Heart bot, especially for women. As women, we want to make sure that we're 100% behind whatever we're doing so that it's not about, we're not actually selling. Like I teach sales training to people because people hate sales. They think sales is an ugly word. But for
it
you,
is.
sales isn't sales. Yours is solutions. It's a solution to a mom who's frustrated about something that they can't find for their kid. You're helping people. And that's what sales is in general for everybody, everyone. Sales is a solution. And if you're not passionate about what you do, it's going to be hard to move your product or service. You have
Oh,
to really,
100%.
you have to love and care about what you're doing, like ridiculously love it in order for that to sort of just attract the right kind of customers. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So I want to ask what's next for you with this business because obviously you're continuing to grow at a pace that it feels good for you, that makes sense for you. You're doing it. So what's next?
Um, that's where I'm still trying to figure that out, and I feel like I summer is always a really good time for me to kind of reflect and say, okay, what are my goals, for this year? And I'm so thankful for Tawny and the businesswoman group because that really helps me like align myself and really focus on like what am I looking for out of this business? Um, and like I said, 2024 was a pivotal moment because I up leveled and you're okay, baby. I up leveled and I put myself out of my comfort zone, which is not easy for me to do because I'm very comfortable being in the background. Like for me to post on my social media, like reels and everything, that takes a lot for me to do. Just because that's not something I would normally do. But I try to do it in a very authentic way that, my customers, my viewers, even myself can relate to. Um, like I said, we've been in Air One since March last year. They're taking us on for another 6 months, which is great. Um, and it's been growing, which, you know, I can't put like it into words, just seeing like the hard work I've put into it, because that's something that I would never have imagined or envisioned my life to be. And it's definitely opened up more doors for my business. And I try to still, I still try to like go to all the Air One stores and make myself relatable. Like I go and I talk to all the employees, and I give them samples, or I give them extra product and be like, thank you. Because they're usually, they're the backbones of that whole business, because they are the boots on ground there, educating people about my product. Because going into a big box store, like I didn't think my stuff was going to sell. I, hoped that it would, and, tried to make a presence in there. Um, and it's definitely showed me that whatever I can put my mind to, I can achieve, because I didn't think I would be able to achieve that, because I got turned down by Air One. I think it was like 3 times, like when I initially, went to them.
Okay, that's a huge
Okay.
hold on.
Yeah.
Lesson, everyone, write that down. How many times have you heard the story about I forget his name, doesn't matter, but the guy that owns Starbucks turned down what,
Yeah.
like 20 times, 20
Yep.
times before
Yep.
somebody decided to give him a loan and help him build Starbucks. Okay, Starbucks.
Yeah.
You were turned
Yep.
down 3 times. So let
Yes.
that be a message to all of you who are listening to this. Being turned down once, okay, how much do you care about your product? Being turned down
Yeah.
twice. How many times are you going to willing to bet on you? Bet on you, bet on what you're doing, because you have to be your biggest cheerleader. So, oh my God, that's amazing, Danielle. I'm so glad that you shared that, because
Yes.
so many people think that the first rejection, most women more than men don't start businesses because they're afraid of someone not liking them and being rejected. All right. So
Yeah.
that's the first hurdle we got to get over, is that, oh my God, someone's not going to, what if they don't like me? I mean, anyway, side stories about another friend of mine who opened restaurants, and her first beautiful, amazing book has come out. And I'm like, congratulations, it's going to be amazing. She's like, I'm a little afraid. I'm like, why? Well,
Yeah.
because it's so personal. I'm like, I get that, but you feed people every day. The people who don't like what you offer, then it's not for them. If you don't
Yeah.
have haters, you're not big enough yet. Your first
Yes.
hater, because 10%, have I said this already on the show? I probably am going to repeat this every single show. 10% of people will love you no matter what you do. 10% will
Yes.
hate you, hate you, no matter what you
Hmm.
do. You can't do anything about them. But when you start
Yeah.
to see those people and get messages, you're like, oh my God, I'm reaching a bigger audience. Like, use that as like,
Yes.
oh my God, I have a hater. I've made it. I'm now so big. I reach so many people that I'm attracting people that don't like me and love me. But so I'm going to hand this over to Tawny, because I know she's jumping to the bit to ask a question, but I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to really, really ground for people that you went to a store that you knew, that you liked, that you trusted, that you had your mind set on, and they said no 3 times. And then you went back and got a yes on the fourth one. That is resilience. That is belief in
Yes.
yourself. That is, you have to have that to be successful in any business. Okay, that's a lesson of JJ's PSA for the day to pull out of this. Bonnie, what you got?
On this kind of flow, yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna ask this. I'm very curious. One, because I know your journey in certain aspects of what it's taken for you to go from just this idea, who am I? Who do I think I am? To like now you're in stores and you have an online presence and you do a huge community market.
Mhm.
Right? And you
Yeah.
show
In addition to everything else,
it
like we forgot about
all.
that part of my life.
uh, Now you're in this, would you call it a box store? I don't think I've ever
Big
heard
box store.
box store. Okay.
Yeah. Big store. Yeah. Big box store.
I'm gonna kind of flow here to see what the
Hmm.
question is. So on one hand, I'd love to hear what you think about, okay, you've gone through this whole process, and on one aspect you kind of made it, right? Like you
Hmm.
made it, like there's this next level that you made it, it's gonna open up these doors, these new opportunities. um Yeah, I'm gonna say it how I want it. Is it everything you thought it was? Is this everything that you were hoping and praying for?
It's 100 times more. Like, I can't tell you, you know, and I love that question because some people ask me that. We're just like, you know, is this what you wanted? And it's like, yes, 100 times yes. And the reason I say that is because my most important thing that I have in my life is my kids. And I, because I took a chance, I get to be, I'm at my house. I could be home, like with my daughter running around. Like she gets to be a part of my life in that most parents, dream about. And I was dreaming about this 10 years ago, and it's been, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, there's been struggles, this year I've had my own struggles. I've had haters and I've had people come at me in ways that I'm just like, I've healed myself as to a certain point where I'm just like, okay, this hurts, but you know, I if I couldn't handle it, you know, then, I shouldn't be in this situation. And I've surprised myself in so many ways that I didn't know that I could. And it's been, it's, it's definitely been a journey and a life that I can look back on and I can be happy, like where I'm at right now. I mean, like, we always talk about like, oh yeah, we wanna make it big and we want money and we want to be the freedom. I don't have all the money right now, but I have the freedom to be who I want to be in my business and be the mom that I want to be for my kids. Like that's invaluable. That's something that um that's like it's gold to me,
Mm.
and even if all of what I've accomplished in the last year, even if all that went away, I tomorrow, I can be in a place where I would be okay because I know how far I've made it and I can do that again if I needed to. So it's yeah, it's been a journey that I'm I'm very blessed that I've been able to live it and all the hardships that I've gone through. I would still choose like everything I've experienced to be able to sit here and be as, at peace with who I am today.
Mm. I love that. And I want to kind of hone in and circle back to something you said, excuse me, not for verbatim, but something along the lines of like you were dreaming of it and like now you have it, right?
Yeah.
Our the podcast is really here to share stories and to be authentic
Hmm.
and transparent, fucking what it is to be a human and a business owner and all the things that come with that. So, for the people that are listening, maybe they're in a space, whether it's personally or they're going all in business, and there's something that they're dreaming about, but maybe they don't have that champion husband or the
Yeah.
support system, or maybe they didn't have something to pull back from their family lineage, but they're still called to the dream, or they're meant for more. What would you like to say to somebody that is still maybe in the dream right now, where they don't have necessarily what they want, their life doesn't look, and they're sitting thinking like, what am I gonna do? Just anything that you'd like to speak to on that.
Yes. And I and it's funny that you asked that because, I'm coming out of like, 10 years ago. Um, I was in a very, like when I say that this is the life I dreamed of. 10 years ago, I was in a very rough place. Um, one morning I woke up and my husband left me, and I was in a state of fear and how am I going to provide for my oldest son? Became a single mom, trying to, go through school and get my teaching degree at the same time. Didn't have a job, didn't have a home. It's like all of the cards are like stacked against me where I'm like, okay, where do I like I literally hit my rock bottom, but I couldn't stay there because there was more. My son was depending on me. Like I had to, you know, that would have, if I didn't have my son, that probably would have taken me out because I would not have even cared to do anything else, with my life. And he, you know, being his mom really forced me to like grow up in a way that, um, took me down a journey of, you know, I hated my life. I hated the situation I was in. Um, and I feel like if I didn't do, the inner work for, myself, or I didn't stay soft through that experience, I would have become a bitter person that I would not be, who I am today. So I've been in that predicament where I was met with, um, you know, anger, and did not know where to go from there. And I just kind of like picked myself up. And I heard a piece of advice way back then, that really helped me. And I do share this with anybody that, I come across, and I notice them or I see like their struggles because I've been in that situation before. Is I've I've always told myself, whatever sentence or whatever like comes in my brain, like how I'm feeling, I always add the two words at the end, right now, so that it takes away that permanence of the situation of where I'm in. So like at that time, I was really going through it with my divorce and, being a single mom and, trying to date again. And then, I found out I was, pregnant again, like so, because I met my husband now that I'm married to, like so quickly after this all happened. And I found out I was pregnant again. And I was just like, whoa, like this is moving way too fast. Um, and I would just say, I'm really sad about my divorce right now. I'm really sad about my work situation right now. I'm really sad about the relationship I have with my mother right now. Just adding those two words like didn't make it so
Permanent.
permanent. Yeah. It helped me see that there is a light at the end of that tunnel. I don't know when or where that's going to happen, but that helped me, get through each day that I was living, because it was a lot. And I know there's so many people, there's so many moms, and there's so many business owners, just anybody that experience something like that. We all have different experiences, but they, just that feeling of despair, and you're like, where do I go from here? And it's, you know, that, so when I say like, this is the life I dreamed of, that this is literally it. Like I wanted a house full of kids, and I wanted a husband that, loved me and cared for me and made me feel safe. And I wanted a home of my own. I wanted to be able to go to a coffee shop and just sit there and drink coffee and just, you know, just smile. Like that is everything to me. And 10 years ago, I could not even fathom that even happening. But without me, saying, yeah, I needed to like put myself in that mindset of I'm going to take myself out of this situation. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to make it better. And, now I can officially say, it's taken me 10 years to like get to like where I'm at, but I can officially say like I am, the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And I could not change I wouldn't change all of the bad stuff, at all because it led me to where I'm at and who I am today.
Well, I love the story, and I know that people who are listening to this, there's going to be, hopefully the audience. Well, the audience will first start off with being VCBW people, because that's who we're sharing it with, and people that we know, love, and trust, and probably some of my listeners from my other network. But when new people stumble upon this podcast, they're going to get not only sort of business tips and inspiration, but the down and dirty of what life looks like, because it's never by accident and it's never without any kind of contrast, right? Did you know? Going in, because I think this is another thing that stops people from doing whatever the next level is in their business. We have to grow ourselves in order to grow
Yeah.
our business. We have to grow
Yes.
ourselves in order to experience and allow in more than we've ever had before. And I think most of us who are doing it sort of by accident because, and kind of just believe in ourselves some weird way because like whether we had a good upbringing, a bad one, doesn't matter, but we have this sort of innate calling to stumble and take risks and do it anyway. Did you know that going into having a business, like that this would grow you, or that you would need to grow yourself when all of this stuff started happening for you?
I did not. I did not know, you know, I always, I tell myself this all the time, like being a business owner really forced me to know who I am, be at peace with who I am. And she has helped that tenfold with me, and I'm sure countless other women. Um, and it's helped me be at peace with being by my like because running a business is so isolating most of the time, and I'm at peace with who I am. Like I like hanging out with myself. It doesn't happen very often where I'm just by myself because I either always have a kid with me or a dog with me or it's but um I being a business owner, I don't think you can learn more about yourself than being a business owner because you will learn so many things about yourself, good and bad, um, that you're just like you over time you become attuned with, okay, I'm, you know, say I get an email from like an out of the blue email about some kind of issue or something, and I'm just like 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like this is terrible. I would have freaked out. Now I just like, okay, I'm going to process what this is telling me before flying off the handle and, you know, take the moment to, you know, not react and just more of a point of understanding, which sometimes I surprise myself when I do that, where I'm just like, huh, I'm like, that is not like what I would have been, years ago. Um, but having the patience, because running a business, you need so much patience and you need, um, um, what's the other word I'm looking for? Uh,
Resilience.
Resilience. There you go. Resilience, to keep going because there's so many things that are going to come at you that could take you out if you let it. Whether you're, I don't know, there's just so many ways it can happen. Um, but if you are just resilient to that and you just keep going no matter what, or I tell myself, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, um, you know, it's all gonna work itself out. It always does. Any issue I have ever encountered with, it always works itself out where I'm just like, nah, that wasn't that big of a deal. Like that didn't, what? I'm like, I don't know why I was, it was triggering me or getting me upset. Um, and and I feel like that has also helped me, in raising my kids because I'm modeling that behavior for my kids so that they can, self-regulate and align themselves. And they know that it's okay if something bad happens or something goes wrong. Like it's just normal life. Um,
I think it's life, even if you're not an entrepreneur, right? But I think
it's
these,
life everywhere.
right, it's life everywhere. You just learn as an entrepreneur differently because we're built different. And it's not that you necessarily set out as an entrepreneur. You set out with wanting more than you had, and you
Hmm.
envisioned something, and then you had the opportunity to have a solution for something, and that just sort of allowed it to sort of grow. And what I'm hearing is a couple things that I want to leave the audience with about what it feels like what kind of kept you going. Like, so there was the fact that you had people to provide for your son and your children. So that's a big
Hmm.
motivating factor to keep you on. In a way, it's coming from a survival state, but sometimes that's what people need to push through. We are either
Yeah.
pulled by pain or pushed by pain or pulled by passion. So
Yes.
you were pushed by pain, and sometimes that's how we start out. We don't want to stay there because that's where burnout comes from. That scarcity
Hmm.
that's not going to be sustainable. But sometimes that push from pain gets it going. It gets it
Yes.
going. So it also sounds like VCBW and Tawny and all the resources that you had access to were also a huge help in maintaining
Oh yeah.
feeling like you were a part of something bigger when you were not when you're by yourself in your own little business. Not you, I mean us, all of
Yes.
us in our business, like in our own little world, if you will.
Oh yeah, 100%. And all of my really close friendships that I have today are from that group, because over this last year, I have lost a huge amount of friends, like probably the most I've ever lost. And I feel like that was, because that happened, I was able to, you know, get ready and prepare for what was to come with Air One. Um, but I I love the coffee connection. I think I've only missed like a few throughout the last couple of years, but every time I do, I'm just like I am like missing something like out of my month because I wasn't able to go. I think it was either June. It was like the last one this year. Or before summer break. And I was like I was craving that um I don't know if it's creativity or like kind of like a blank canvas. Like I go in and I'm able to come out with like, okay, like I know what I'm going to do. And I think I love that it's like kind of at the beginning of the month because it helps me get through like the end of my month because I have like a vision of where I want to go. And then again, it restarts like every month. And I can always recommend the Ventura County Businesswoman Group 100% because of where it's helped me in my business, like the relationships. Like without that group, I would never have met Natalie Lehman. Like she was my business coach for a time, and her organization like helped me prepare for what was to come. I would never have met her. I would never have met, a huge amount of friends that I talk to on a daily basis, whether texting or calling. Um, and it to kind of, it takes me out of my mindset where I can bounce ideas off of like business ideas off of other people, which I found that I love doing that, and that has helped me create a whole community because on the side, as from different from my business, I was able to create an 805 like makers market. And we've been doing that for like 2.5 years with, my friend Justine. And I love that whole community because I have like businesses are coming to me and saying, I'm stuck here. Like, what do you think of this? How do you, I'm able to kind of give them some insight on what might work. They can take it or leave it, whatever they want to do. But it's created that community that I've so like longed for, in like so many areas of my life. So anytime I meet a new business or, a women-owned business, I'm just like, you need to check out this group because you don't know what, gold mines you might find. You never know. Most of the opportunities you miss are the ones that you never take. So I can never, I will always, sing your praises, Tawny, because, it worked for me. And I'm I'm very grateful to, be a part of, I'm very grateful that I came to Ventura and, been a part of that group because I feel like my success, has stemmed from what you have created.
I'm going to let Tawny close out the show because I want her to address and receive all that love from you and all the things that you are talking about. But I want to, for the people that are listening to this that don't live in Ventura or don't live in California, who will never be a part of VCBW, the message is have a support, have a community, find a community, create a community if you can't find one, because not all
Yes.
of them are going to be a fit. Not all of them are going to feel good. And if you can't find one, then gosh darn it, you make one. You start a meetup and you get together the people you say, I did that in the South Bay. I said, here's what I'm looking for. He answers a few questions. And then I gathered a group of like-minded people together who could support each other in the way that felt good for me, that was aligned with what I wanted to do. But I'm going to let Tawny finish this, but I just want to make sure everyone knows honeyshinecalendula.com. The link is in the show notes.
Mhm.
If you don't already know it, you can also follow her on Instagram, right? Or all of your social
Yes.
media is at honey_shine_calendula. So you can check out her products. And thank you so much, Danielle, for being here. Tawny, take it.
I know it's funny. I'm like, I'm a Leo, so I do love a good, yes, tell me how much I've made an impact for you. I get a little funny about it. It's fun. So part here. Hi, sweets. Um, I think that is you, and I love what JJ was saying. The Ventura County business women, the reason it works is because everyone's welcome. And it's not about you need to shift and change and transform. No, just be who you are. And we all have to be, if we're in community, accepting that we all get to be who we are. And I think that's where the magic is. We ask the right questions so people can make the right connections. And you've been such a cool demonstration of that. You come in, you make yourself known, you use all the different resources, you show up, you take care of the personal and the professional. And I think that then you get your abundance. And like JJ said, for anybody that's listening, I'm a huge um of start a community, create a community inside of a community, you know what I'm saying, in that sense, because there is so many, how I look at it, there's billions of people and you are only going to connect with literally like a micro sand of them. So I always kind of take that, whoever ends up showing up in my reality, whatever that looks like, they're potentially there for a reason, whether it might be a show you some things or help you next level. So I just appreciate you kind of just being a demonstration, a piece of evidence of what's possible when you move through the hard spaces. You keep showing up for yourself. You keep fighting for the dream that is in your heart, even when you're like, I have no idea how. That is so relatable. I know I deal with that in my life. I know the women in our community deal with that. So, thanks for having the convo and standing for what's possible. And that's that. I'm like,
Danielle, I unmuted you, so
yeah.
can you unmute so I'll just finish. It's gonna be
No
funny.
worries.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for being here. Please,
Thank
everyone, check out
you.
Honeyshine Calendula.
Thank you. Thank you.